Oh, okay. I'm sorry. President Byrne.
Here.
Trustee Grebe.
Here.
Trustee Williams.
Present.
Trustee Hebda. Here. Trustee Schultz.
Here.
Trustee Markwart.
Here.
Trustee Cook.
We have Board President. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
I'm stuck.
All right. Is there any citizens that wish to address the board today on anything other than what's at committee of the whole? Because it's at committee of the whole, then you can discuss it. Who's first here?
I didn't understand the restriction.
What restriction?
You said unless it's something and I didn't.
Oh, that's
It's
okay. This would be the time,
If you got
if
something
you're
to say.
not here for committee of the whole item, you can come up and speak to the board. It's pretty straightforward, okay? Okay.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi.
How are you?
I think I'm saying hi to you.
I think we did.
I got my
You
paper.
had your rock star sunglasses on. Good evening. I'm here to update you, as I have in the past several times, about the Route 53 120 project. This update is a little bit different than some of my previous updates. As you know, about a month ago, I issued a statement with concerns over the future of the Route 53 project, and I really do believe, based on the information and the conversations that I've had over the past several weeks and few months, that the political and financial realities for the project have become insurmountable. And it really breaks down into three key areas that I wanted to talk with you about: schedule, the state, and the standards. Originally, the environmental impact statement process that we had discussed was going to be about an 18-month to 2-year process. That's now a 4-year process that will be done, or would have been done, in 2 parts. It's important to know that the Tollway based their financial projections on 2020 dollars. So if you start an environmental impact statement in 2016, and it's a 4-year process, that would bring you to 2020. From there would need to be additional land acquisition that would be funded through IDOT based on the finance recommendations, and it's also likely there would be litigation. It's also important to know that those 2020 finance projections were based on achieving midpoint of construction. So it's clear that the schedule does not really work under the current proposal. And so when you factor in conservative 3% cost escalation factor, you're looking at an additional $70 million a year for the project. When we first had this discussion about the finances of Route 53, there was a $1.9 billion funding gap, which is kind of, people's heads explode when they think about that number. But when you look at it, and you see other projects that have gone on, Elgin O'Hare got well north of $2 billion, and so at the time we were fairly comfortable with that idea. But I think when you layer on these cost escalations, and then you layer on the unpredictability of Springfield, the project unfortunately starts to fall under its own weight. And I think we've seen this time and time again. If this project would have advanced 20 years ago, it wouldn't have been a $2.5 billion project, it would have been a $800 million project. And that really brings us to the state of the state. Not only would they have to address that funding shortfall of $1.9 billion and the cost escalation factors, but they would have to pass legislation on things like advancing the idea of value capture, which is a TIF-like tax increment financing tool. The finance recommendation calls for an additional 4-cent per gallon motor fuel tax. And the finance recommendation also calls for IDOT to fund $300 million in additional land acquisition that would be necessary for the project through subsequent capital bills. And I think it would be bills plural instead of one bill. And so kind of way where we're at in Springfield. We don't want to make decisions based on single points in time, but I don't see this budget impasse moving. I don't see it going anywhere. Today, the IDOT secretary has ordered an immediate halt to all road work occurring under IDOT, and has asked contractors to shutter their projects in a manner that is safe for motorists to navigate around while the impasse hopefully plays itself out. And the third thing that I think is important to note are the standards. We really thought when we came together that we were going to conceptualize a new kind of road. It wasn't going to be a 6-lane road. It was going to be a 4-lane tolled, limited access parkway with unique environmental features, strategically depressing the road to limit runoff and salt spray issues, to address noise and light pollution through how we engineered the project, to really put a premium on water quality and on-site stormwater detention. And so these things, I think, are central to the idea, the value proposition that we had came up with. My concern is that these are now impossible because the first thing that the tollway in the state would go after is how do we build a normal road and what does this road look like? And these enhanced environmental features that are central to a Lake County project would be orphaned off. And so that is what really formulated my statement and kind of my revelation on this. And so I no longer feel that the project is viable, and I also feel that it does in many cases hold us hostage to look at other important improvements that have not been talked about in a meaningful way because they've always said, well, 53 will do that or whatever. So we've got a lot of work to do. We've got to find a way to fund things, but I don't believe that this is a feasible way of doing it.
Let me say something. You know, I've been involved in 53. You were probably still in high school, okay?
At best.
And it's been, you know, on and on and on. and you know, whatever rights of way we have in easements, they were acquired. I remember, you know, the enlightenment of Mayor Sindels, in fact, allowing about 6 or 8 homes to just be built in the right of way, okay? But with that said, we have 300 feet approximately. Is that the width of the right of way?
Yes.
And that runs for how many miles approximately?
We have
14?
well, the road extension is a 12-mile 53 extension
Right.
north from Lake Cook Road to 120.
Right.
And then there's another 12-mile roughly bypass. So in total, you're looking at about 24 miles of road.
Okay, well, you
And
know,
then-
what's your thoughts as the president and leader of Lake County, the county board, about a 5-lane cross-section then? Just do a nice 5-lane cross-section road.
The discussion.
You got an answer to that, Aaron? I'll be amazed. And we're going back, remember the tip? Were you around when the tip was even discussed?
It's not a matter of when I was
No,
around.
but that was a
I've lived this project
That
too.
was the transportation improvement.
I know
project
exactly what it
that we
stands
sat
for.
through many public hearings,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And it was like, that was gonna cost a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
to take care of all of our country blacktops that just kinda, you know, end wherever a lake is and it tees out. So, you know, in essence, what about just doing a 5-lane cross-section? Right up there, right away, add a road to Lake County. The only road that's been added to Lake County is what road? You better know this answer, if you're the county board president.
Say Fairway.
Is it
Fairway Drive.
Okay.
Yeah, well, gee, okay, but, you know, that was the first road in 65, 80 years.
And thank you.
Well, no, that's okay. You know, I've been thanked a lot for that. But what I'm saying is, then add a road up the right of way. Just put a, you know, 5-lane cross-section.
But the
Which
problem,
everybody knows what a 5-lane cross-section is, right?
but it's no longer a
Little turn lanes and
discussion of
stuff?
whether or not to have a new road. There's no way to fund it and do it.
Really.
So we can
Any kind-
conceptualize
any kind of road improvement, period.
Well, we've got to talk about what we can do.
Why don't you think about that? Let's take 53 off the table, the $2
Yeah.
billion, you know, monster in the room, and just think about, okay, let's just take 53 north. You got a nice corridor. You know, maybe there's some easements that still have to be purchased. Think about that. Not a Garden State Parkway or whatever, you know, was discussed at all these meetings.
But now you're further eroding what the work
I'm
has
not
been done over
eroding, I'm just saying you gotta
Yeah.
be practical. I mean, people
Well,
still gotta go to work.
I won't
still gotta
support
get
that
home.
type of road because not only do I represent Vernon Hills, but I represent Long Grove and Hawthorne Woods where the road would go through. And I'm not going to, like my predecessor, Pam Newton, support something that is essentially a 6-lane raised
Why don't
highway.
you start out with, you know, 2-lane and turning lanes, you know?
Because it's just not going to happen. And so I think focusing
okay.
on our Lake County consensus plan, where we have $800 million of projects to work on, like widening
Well,
45.
Do you think the 4-cent tax per gallon is still a good thing?
I think we need
We should have had that in place 30 years ago.
well,
You know that history.
I do know that history. I do know that
Okay.
history.
You know?
Yeah.
And
There's-
you know, everybody said, oh, it's Geo, you know, give me a break.
Yeah.
But you know what, that's very important no matter what.
Well, we need a myriad of funding opportunities because we've got a $30 billion backlog in transit. We've got, I think, close to $40 billion in a backlog in road projects just to achieve a state of good repair.
In
Not even
Lake County.
No, in the region, in the Chicago region, and that's
Okay,
the only.
Fowler County, okay.
But that's the only way you're going to
But
package.
you don't think we should have that, you're not gonna support the 4 cents a gallon, gas tax?
I haven't seen the proposal. Yeah,
Any
I'd like.
proposal, make what, you're the president of the Lake County Board, do something.
I'm committed to additional transportation funding, and I've worked very hard on a
Well,
project.
you know, this is something that was discussed by all the committees.
It was.
I actually brought it up.
You did.
Oh, let's not talk about that. Come on.
There
You know,
needs.
Hey, you need the 4 cents a gallon,
Mm-hmm.
you know, money off of the gas tax to pay for bike paths.
You need
Which I
a.
don't have a problem with.
Well-
We got bike paths all over this town. So, you know, anyway, okay.
You need a balanced approach,
Are you
though,
done?
because the.
Aaron, are you done? Because I'm not here.
Well, I've been badgered for 5 minutes. I'm
Okay,
just trying
well,
to get a word out.
Maybe I'll do another 10. I'm really disappointed in you.
Okay.
Really
But
disappointed.
let him finish his
Okay.
presentation.
Okay, go ahead.
You need not, if you were to raise the gas tax, Roger, that only deals with your gasoline-based cars. You've got to look at how hybrids and electric vehicles, you have to look at a whole myriad of transportation plans. And I've answered every call that you have given, that you have sent my way. We did not talk about this, but I have to tell you guys, and I wasn't planning on bringing this up. I know the village board has a long-standing support for this, but I have been out in front on this project. I have been the point person, and I appreciate the village's support for the project. But in many cases, I think support for the project out in our communities is a mile wide and an inch deep. I go door to door in our communities, and the thing that they are concerned about are taxes, taxes, and taxes. 53 has come up as a very small fraction of that, and I'm not saying that it's not on their minds. It's just I'm not hearing from it, and I'm listening
So a
to my
referendum
constituents.
meant nothing. Do you know the referendum I'm even
Yeah,
talking
that with
about?
the 76% of the county, and there were subsequent polls by the Lake County Transportation Alliance that
Does
matched
that
that
mean-
up.
That doesn't mean anything to you?
But when you
You're
all,
just basing it on
Yeah.
knocking on a handful of doors?
but when you,
I've been
when,
out campaigning, you know?
yeah,
Hey,
Yeah.
you got your walk sheet. There's no guarantee that people are home. Give me
Yeah.
a break, you
yeah.
know?
But when you ask them the subsequent question about if they're willing to pay
Who you
for it,
asking? You mean a handful of people on
No. The Lake County Transportation Alliance that I think you've been involved with,
Yeah.
you know, when they ask support for the road, the response they get is 76%. It's equal to what we got in the referendum.
Is that, okay, so that's a bad thing?
Well, when you ask the next question, which is do you support a gas tax, the question falls around the low 20%. When you ask if you're for increased tolls, you again get low 20%. When you ask if you support both, you get about 13 to 16%. And so all I'm saying is you have to ask all the questions together.
Okay. So people are gonna stop using the tollways?
I'm just telling you based on the research what they support and what they don't.
So these 20% that don't wanna, you know, I guess, a increased toll, Do they use the tollways now? Did you ask that question?
The Tollway did very exhaustive market studies on the 53
Right.
process and
Okay.
articulated that.
Are you done?
I am, it's always good to
Basically-
see you.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, you know,
Basically, then the people are saying, we want the 53, but we don't want to pay for it. I mean,
And that's with anything.
that's exactly what they're saying.
And that's with anything, but that's what we're seeing.
Oh, I know.
well, you know, people don't want to be paying pensions to politicians anymore. So
Oh, tell me
why
about
don't you
it.
listen to the people on that one? They're really.
We are.
You are?
We're having that discussion.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of discussion you really having?
There's active legislation
I
in
pay your
Springfield.
pension.
Okay, if we're gonna go there, Roger, I'm gonna sit
Well,
down, because I'm not gonna put up with
You ever look at
this.
your real estate tax? There's about 8 different, taxing districts, we all pay their pensions.
Yeah, great.
Nobody
You're
pays
right.
my pension.
I
We don't have one.
I understand that.
Okay. All right, Aaron.
Thanks.
Okay. Take care.
Aaron, I just want to say thank you for coming here, because you knew what you were walking into.
know.
And
No,
I
he didn't.
appreciate, yes, he did.
Oh, okay,
And
well-
believe me, he
oh,
did. He
okay.
got a lot of phone calls. I know he did.
What, from me?
Well, I don't know about you, but there's others of us here. But I do
Oh, yeah,
appreciate
this-
your thoughts,
Barb,
whether I
this was
agree
all
with them,
scripted? Come on.
whether I
What, are
agree
you
with you or
kidding me?
not, I appreciate your coming here.
Thank you.
It demonstrates what you've always had, and
Yeah.
that's leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other trustees want to respond to anything that Aaron had to say?
I think you covered it. What they want.
All right, anybody else? Okay, trustee Hebda.
I guess the only thing, I'm disappointed that you didn't come before, because you've always been an advocate and a supporter of Route 53 with us. So to see that was a disappointment and kind of a slap in the face.
You mean like a
personally.
blind side?
Yeah, but I guess my frustration is we have people that are commuting and traveling, and Lake County is a wonderful, viable place to be. And unless we do something to make it easier for individuals to come here, not everyone's going to ride a bike. I love the bikes, but not everyone's going to ride a bicycle to work. People do commute, and we've got to figure out a way to resolve these issues as much as possible. And that's where my frustration is. It's like, now it's done,
No.
and now we're just going to let it
I'll
go,
get that later.
and we're not going to go any further. And I'm thinking, okay, what do we do next? I mean, and that's the frustration,
He
is that
doesn't know.
you've got
I do know,
people that-
Roger, and I resent the badgering, frankly, because
Really? Well,
I've,
you know what?
I've-
I resent the fact you didn't have the courtesy to call me before you made this blunt, statement about the whole 53 thing.
I think
And you
our-
said, oh, I'm carrying all the water to some extent. So you felt you didn't have support from your county board members, apparently. And now, because you're up for reelection, you're going to satisfy the Hawthorne Woods and the Long Grove people over your own town? What, are you kidding me?
you
Go
know,
ahead.
it's not a political decision, but
Well, come on.
to Cindy's point, trustee Hebda's point, there are a lot of things that need to be done, but I can guarantee you, I know everybody was in a lot of meetings over the last 20, 30 years. I was in different meetings. I was in meetings where they were walking back on the environmental standards. Those are not just nice to haves. Those are what made the whole thing go for the past 4 years. And so if they're going to walk back on those, I was the one that was carrying the water on those issues. And so we have to focus on the Lake County Consensus Plan. It was enacted in 2006 with state, local, and county leaders. It's got $800 million of projects. It's got a lot of east-west and north-south thoroughfares. It doesn't have a funding source, I'll be honest. I think if you compare that, it's $800 million to the unfunded portion of 53. It is much smaller. So it's something we're going to have to work on. We can't just sit idly by. But I think if we let something hold us back that is, I believe, an impossibility, then it's only delaying our ability to do what we can get done. And that's all I'm saying. So.
Next.
Yeah, that's kind of what.
You want to state your name for the record, please, address, so on and so forth?
My name's Evan Craig. I'm a resident of this village of Vernon Hills. I live at, you said my address?
Yeah.
116 Hamilton Place. I intend to speak to you respectfully.
Okay.
I'm a volunteer leader in the Sierra Club. I'm wearing this silly shirt just to get the message across that we still don't want Route 53. And I appreciate your strong feelings on this matter. Unfortunately, strong feelings don't produce huge bags of money. I know that Mayor Soto has asked for you to sign a letter of support for the environmental impact statement for Route 53, and that's on your agenda tonight. So I'm here to ask you to consider whether to do that with some of the information I'll give you, and to vote no. First of all, the Tollway doesn't need your consent. They're going to be involved in federal agency considerations. They're required to go and get an EIS. They don't need your consent. This is really about just another straw vote about whether you want 53. So I thought I would bring a couple of additional pieces of information to light. The gas tax that we've just heard a lot about is really minuscule compared to the other expenses that this road would exact on this. Tolls are taxes. There are several new tolls and several new taxes, and we're still over $1.5 billion short in trying to imagine a road through the core of Lake County. In particular, for Vernon Hills residents, the impacts to our village of Route 53 are a little bit unobvious. But if you look at the development plan that comes with this magical transportation thing, they want to put all kinds of new development, just about 5 miles west of here. And if you actually read the Finance Committee report, like some of us admitted nerds do, you'll see that they talk about leakage. There's millions and millions of dollars of leakage. Leakage is what they call sales that Vernon Hills no longer enjoys because it went west. And the same's true of Gurnee. Like, I think I read 133 million.
It's called free enterprise. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
But you have
Go
it.
ahead. We're not complaining about Kildare. You understand what's going on there, are you?
May I complete my statements?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. So I think that the residents of Vernon Hills ought to know that the sales tax that we enjoy so much here is going to be impacted if we build Route 53. That's not all. A lot of people in Vernon Hills travel east to go down I-94. And I think many Vernon Hills residents are not aware that one of the prime locations that the tollway is, that the Finance Committee is recommending that we get money for Route 53 is I-94. So if you travel I-94 and never ever travel on Route 53, you're going to be paying more money. And it's a lot more. They already raised the tolls recently by 85%, 86% recently on I-94. That's chump change. That got us to about 3 cents a mile. The projection is 20 cents a mile. That's 6 times as much on I-94. So if you commute on that regularly, think $1,000 a year. For 53, while you continue to drive on I-94. All right, if you look more carefully at the detailed plans, there's this other thing that Aaron was talking about. We need to pay for remediation for the environmental damage that this road would do. And somehow magically, Vernon Hills got a cutout, so it wouldn't have to pay for that. At least that's in the present plan. But something tells me that when the other towns who are going to pay for that see that Vernon Hills is getting a pass on the sales tax siphon, that's going to evaporate, and Vernon Hills is going to end up losing out on new retail sales tax, just like the other communities in the corridor. So I could go on and on. If you do want to take Route 53, there's going to be congestion pricing and indexing that's going to bring the average commute on that road to even more, like $1,500 a year. A lot of people think about this as just pennies, but when you do it every day for many miles, like are being projected for this road to serve, it adds up. Okay. And then there are the untold costs. Aaron went into some of those, and delay is definitely generating a cost. But there's also the land that Illinois presently owns in the corridor, that the Tollway, which is not a public agency, which is beholden to its bondholders, wants Illinois to hand over for a penny, or maybe $1. It's worth about, I think somewhere between $400 and $600 million. So that's a big sucking sound against the state of Illinois. And by the way, if you wanted state road improvements, maybe that's where the road for those state road improvements has been going. While we worship this 53 thing, we're stuck dead in the water on real road improvements. It's time to put this 53 thing to bed. I urge you not to give it your support one more time. It's going down. There just isn't money for it. It's over $3 billion now. I don't know about you, that's a lot of money where I come from. And it's all going to fall on just Lake County. Those are, $3 billion is a number you hear from the federal government, or maybe from the state, but not for a county. It amounts to $3,500 for every man, woman, and child in the county.
You don't think anybody else will be paying for this road if they use it as a toll road?
I know what they're asking
You
right
think
now.
it'll just be Lake County people driving on this road?
Mayor,
Evan, please,
I know what they're,
Please,
what they're asking now.
try to use logic when you make that statement.
I've seen a lot of projections that say how good this is going to be for Schaumburg, and I don't know why we're bending over to give a road for travelers to Schaumburg.
All right. Okay, Evan.
Thank you.
Thanks. Nice seeing you. Okay. Anybody else? Want to state your name for the record and your home address?
Yes, sir. My name is Barbara Klipp. I'm a resident of Grays Lake, Illinois, but I was asked to come here on behalf of our organization, Livable Lake County, which is a coalition organization consisting of Sierra Club, Moms Clean Air Force, McHenry County Defenders, Midwest Sustainability Group, and others. Collectively, we represent over a couple 100,000 people in the state of Illinois. And we wanted to bring, actually, we were advised not to come here. I can kind of see why now. This is a scary board to come in front of. I come
No,
in,
no,
I
it's
come
not
in
scary
peace.
board. No.
I come in peace.
No.
We just want
Maybe I scare you. I don't know.
a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
I'm a mom,
Well,
though, and a teacher.
I'm a grandfather, and I have a wife for 42 years, and I have 3 grandchildren. You want to keep comparing notes on that?
Your name reminds me, my mom always, when she went to vote and she didn't know who to vote for, when it was like, University of Illinois trustees or something, she always voted for the women and the Irishmen, and that just, seeing your name just.
So she voted for one of my relatives.
Probably,
Oh,
probably.
see, she did a good job, and I think I'm trying, with this board's help, to do a good job. Go ahead.
Well, I come in peace. We just wanted to raise our concerns to you, so before you make this decision, we feel like you have all the facts in front of you. I also wanted to address some of the questions you've addressed to other people and what our thoughts are on those. As far as the gas tax goes, what we're seeing around the country is when it's paired with a package, when people understand what they're getting. So if it were a package of road improvements, road expansions, bridges, and maybe some public transit and other things together, that people are overwhelmingly voting either through property taxes or sales taxes to support that. And that's in red states, places like Indianapolis and North Carolina and San Antonio. So we're not 100% opposed to a gas tax. What we're opposed to are a gas tax increase that's going to go to the tollway indefinitely, to people that aren't elected and aren't accountable to the voters. It sounds like we've been around a while, some of us. You maybe remember when 94 was first created, it was only going to be a toll road till it was paid for. And y'all remember that? And then they combined them with the other toll roads, and they kind of did cooking the books so that it's never paid for. And we're concerned about sending our tax dollars down there indefinitely for a project like that. Also, regarding the referendum, I think Chairman Lawler addressed this a little bit, but we do feel like that was a false question. I think people are childish around everywhere, and I say that as a teacher and a mother, but they do want stuff and they want it for free. That referendum question asked, do you want Route 53 without any of the associated costs? I can also tell you that by studying other deals, and I don't know all of them, I am aware of some of the recent deals, and Lake County is kind of getting a raw deal here. DuPage County didn't put in any tax money toward the Elgin O'Hare Expressway. They did give a little land, which is taxpayer dollars, but no, not the value capture, not the gas tax, none of that we're putting in. Will County didn't put that in. And so they're asking Lake County residents, I believe other people will use these roads, but a lot of them will be Lake County residents, same as 94, and asking us to pay tolls. Only the 53 part in Lake County will be taxed. The Cook County part was thrown out. They aren't going to be taxed. So we're getting the tolls. We consider taxes, tolls taxes. So we're getting tolls only here. Cook County people won't be paying tolls on their part of 53. And we're being asked to kick in tax dollars that other counties haven't had to pay. So that's one thing. Also, we're kind of mystified. So I live in Grays Lake, and where we go to shop is either Vernon Hills or Gurnee, for the most part. I mean, we have local grocery stores and things. When the Alter Group develops all that property out there, we probably won't come to Gurnee and Vernon Hills anymore. So it is, I know it's free enterprise, I get that, but as elected representatives, my understanding is sales tax is the bread and butter, especially in a place like Vernon Hills. So why you'd want to support a plan sending more tax dollars out of the village is confusing, I guess, to us. Also, I think brick and mortar shops are really struggling now with online commerce. So they're already at a bit of a disadvantage. The increased tolls on 94, I think, is a big concern. I don't know. I've never seen a survey. I'm just guessing as a lifetime resident of Lake County that a lot of your residents take 94 to the city or to the airport. And they're already talking about system-wide toll increases to pay for some other capital improvements. So these are going to be substantial toll increases I should think your residents will care about. Other things for you to consider is that Chairman Lawler alluded to this. We feel that this project is wholly unaffordable, and that Governor Rauner was elected on an agenda of stopping Illinois business as usual. So to go ahead with a $40 to $50 million environmental impact study, to our knowledge, this is at least the third one that's been conducted. We like to call this project the money pit. I don't know how many tens of millions of dollars have been put into it, and we have no road to show for it. But there's a record of broken promises at the tollway that we'd like you to consider. The gas tax increase, the value capture. I know in my community, they're telling our residents in the schools, for example, don't worry, this is money you never had. This is money, at least in the northern part of the county, that our schools are going to need. As you know, when you develop undeveloped lands, huge amounts of infrastructure costs come with that. And that's tax dollars our schools need and won't get at least 25% of the new taxes. And will go, again, indefinitely with no sunset to the Tollway Authority.
What school district do you teach at?
I teach at College of Lake County. I'm a professional flutist. Every time I stand up here, I play in a symphony. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Are you full-time there?
No, a full-time teacher, no. I teach privately. I teach as an adjunct faculty
All right.
member, and I play in a symphony. The other things we'd like you to consider is that the consensus for this project is collapsing by the day. Not only did Chairman Lawler withdraw his support, we have the ex officio members of the BRAC, of the General Assembly, have withdrawn their support. All the environmental organizations involved in it withdrew their support, with the understanding that the Blue Ribbon Advisory Council recommendations will not be followed. So that's important for you to know. Recently, the Village of Mundelein held a vote. We were there. The trustees asked their mayor, is a vote for this EIS to go forward a vote in support of the project? And he honestly said, yes, it is. I mean, how can we support the study and not the project? And they said, then they don't support it. It went down 4-1. That's a major part of the corridor, in addition to the towns that have traditionally opposed it in Long Grove and Hawthorne Woods.
How did Graves Lake vote on it?
Grace Lake won't vote. Grace Lake had the audacity. I spoke at the Tollway and said, I come from a town that won't even have a public meeting on this, won't even vote on it. And one of the trustees got up at a Tollway board meeting and said to me, yes, we did. We held a public meeting and we voted. And I emailed him when I got home and
Did
said,
they pass a resolution in support of it?
so I emailed him and he said they did. And I said, I've checked the agendas for the last 2 years and I see nothing. How did this happen? He said, we voted on it in 1991. So they voted on it in 1991, before the gas tax proposal, before the value capture, before any of this, and they feel like they're going to stick with it. So I appreciate that you are at least considering this. You're one step ahead of my village.
Okay, you got about 3 more minutes. Because then we got to go to the board agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry, sir. I appreciate your generosity with your time.
Yeah, that's all right.
I would just like to end with the fact, a lot of people will say, this EIS is just going to give us more information. It's been done 3 times. We don't need an EIS to know that they can't afford it. And we feel that we can't keep doing projects that we think we'll find the money for. We can't keep doing that in the state of Illinois. You don't need an EIS to tell you that it's not going to protect the environment and they're not going to adhere to these standards.
How do you feel about brownfields?
Brownfields and what? Like putting,
Like in the city of Chicago.
well, we're advocating.
And then they encapsulate it, and they build, a facility like Ford Motor Company. It creates hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of jobs. Is that wrong?
It depends on the type of the brownfield. I think that that's a great idea when it can be done. We're also
Okay.
advocating for solar
So
arrays.
we agree on something.
I think we agree probably on a lot of things.
Maybe.
I'm guessing. If we had a cup of coffee or drink, we could.
I don't have any, Evan should have got up and said he appreciates all the bike paths throughout this community. It's highly, highly, highly pedestrian. You know that, don't you?
I do know that. I do know that. And by the way, what we're for, just so you know, is a stakeholder group to sit down. I worked with the county on recycling, and we had a stakeholder group, and we came up with a plan, and we lead the state of Illinois. We'd like a stakeholder group to come up with a comprehensive plan of what we can do right now to ease our traffic congestion, which includes roads, not just bike paths, and alternatives to cars. So I'll let you go. I've worn out my time. I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is. Oh, yep, where are we? Give me
Next board meeting.
the, yeah, the next village board meeting is July 6th. Route 53 authorization to send letter to Tollway in support of the environmental impact study, EEIS. Okay, obviously, we've discussed that, so,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
it's,
just one reminder. Because we're not meeting on Tuesday, it's Wednesday.
that's right, we're meeting on Wednesday.
Yes.
That's all right. Okay, I mean, at this point, do we need to take a position tonight on sending the 53 letter out and ask for everybody's vote on the board here? Bob?
No.
I'm willing to,
When would they have, when does it need to be in by?
I don't know, we could send it, we've sent so many, it's kind of like,
Do we want to absorb what we've already said tonight, or you just want to vote on it?
I don't have a problem supporting us sending the letter.
motion to send a letter in support of an environmental impact study for the Route 53 corridor.
Second.
Motion is second, any further comments or questions? Roll call.
Aye.
Trustee Hebden?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Green?
Aye. And for the record, I'd vote aye. Motion carries. Okay, next is Village Manager, John Calmer.
Thank you, Your Honor. Two items, just quickly. Summer celebration dates are Thursday, July 14th through Sunday the 17th. In your packet is the information with regards to the bands and the activity, some of the activities, along with a flyer that's in your packet also. We'll have more information as we go along with regards to this this event. I'll have more information on the July 6th meeting, and we'll expand upon it at that point. The second item is the 4th of July parade and evening events. We're about 2 weeks out now, hard to believe. Parade starts at 8:50 on Monday, July 4th. Student Zachary Kurzenberger from Vernon Hills High School is going to sing the national anthem before the parade starts at the Countryside Fire Station. Right now, they've got 75 units that are signed up, including many of the bands that you've seen before. We've also gotten, again, a great participation and sponsorship from the Vernon Hills Park District. They sponsor the Band of the Black Watch, and then they also sponsor the evening's entertainment with the Big Fun Band starting at 6:30, running from 6:30 to 9:30, and fireworks commencing at 9:30. So, also, just so you're aware, Troop 273 will also be selling water and glow products as a fundraiser at the event. So, come on out. Looking forward. Hopefully, have great weather that evening, and it should be another great community event.
Okay. No, what I did.
Next would be me.
Who did you?
I rarely have a speaking part, but this happens to be the night. On the omnibus event, let me start over. On the omnibus agenda, tonight is Resolution 2016-105. It signals our intent to dissolve our current ETSB and form a joint ETSB with the villages of Libertyville and Lincolnshire. Earlier this year, the state of Illinois passed Public Act 99006, instituting changes to the collection and distribution of our E911 surcharge revenues and requiring the consolidation of 911 centers and ETSBs throughout the state. Some of the points are is requiring that all 911 centers serving a population of less than 25,000 must be consolidated by July 1st of 2017. They created a uniform statewide surcharge and central collection and distribution of the 911 surcharge revenues under the Illinois State Police. And they require that any ETSBs without a public safety answering point, which would be Countryside Fire Protection District. They're a secondary PSAP of ours, but they do not have a PSAP or public safety answering point of their own. Let's see, so they would have to merge with an existing ETSB so that they have a PSAP that's created to join our ETSB. As you know, the village operates a joint dispatch center with Countryside Fire Protection District that serves Vernon Hills, Countryside, Libertyville, Lincolnshire, and Rockland Fire Protection District. The collective agencies serve a population of just under 65,000. So we meet the criteria for consolidation. We do not have to consolidate any further at this point. However, in order to receive our E911 surcharge monies, which are collected every month, and be in compliance with the Act, we have to signal our intent to dissolve our current ETSBs and form a single joint ETSB with the agencies whom we are in partnership with. So I'm afraid this is going to be the beginning of the first of many resolutions and intergovernmental agreements that will be coming your way over the next couple of months. Everything has to be, the plan has to be in place by June 30th of this year. And all the actions necessary must be completed by June 30th of 2017. These things are constantly changing on a daily basis. Earlier in May, actually, we filed our plan to be in compliance by June 30th. 3 days later, it was rejected by the state because they changed the criteria and they changed the plan. When we asked where the new plan was, they said, well, they haven't gotten around to updating the website and loading the new plan in place. So things are evolving and changing almost on a daily basis. So, like I said, I'm afraid this is going to be the first of a lot of things that are going to be, I don't want to say being jammed home, but we're going to be moving rather quickly on these to get this done. And I want to make sure everyone understands what we're doing and why we're doing it. And that's really what this is. We're trying to be in compliance with the new Public Act. Yeah, trying to keep up. So no action necessary at this point, but it is on the omnibus agenda tonight for your approval.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right here.
All right.
I was going to put my light on, so there we go.
No other department heads? One's out of the country, so he can't have anything to say.
Yeah, well, didn't even take us.
So is there a motion to approve the omnibus vote agenda, items A through L?
So made.
Second.
Motion is second. Comments or questions? Roll call.
Trustee Hebda? Aye. Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Green?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, any unfinished additional business? New business communication? Anything on that? Trustee Hebda?
I just want to remind residents that this Saturday, I believe, there are in need of volunteers to help finish out Kids Castle. I think they start at 9 and go till 3. It says to bring families and friends, but I know if people aren't doing anything on Saturday, I know that they have a need for some workers to help finish it out.
Okay. Trustee Williams?
Well, Public Works isn't here, but I just wanted to bring it up in case you haven't been down Sullivan lately. Public Works has put in some really nice landscaped areas. I think there's 4 of them, 3 or 4 of them, and it really looks nice where they took out some dead trees. It's a great job they're doing.
And then there was some foliage that was trimmed.
That too, yes, yes, they did a little trimming too, yes. Yes, it was, in preparation for the 4th.
Yeah, yikes.
The other day, I was out and about, and once again, I'm finding school buses parked all over the place, and believe me, it was my bread and butter and funded my life for 38 years, so I'm not against school busing, but I'm concerned that they were parked the other day when I saw them at Lakeview and Hawthorne in the land that we jointly purchased with the Park District for open space. Those are heavy vehicles. And we need to make sure that they're not parking in those areas. It's bad enough that they're all over town, which infuriates me to begin with. But they shouldn't be parking on parking lots because they're heavy, they're gonna run the foundations, and it's gonna cost us money to replace them regardless of how it costs, it's gonna cost. So I don't know what and landscaping trucks. They're back in the parking lots at night again. I know I'm pretty sure we still have an ordinance that says no overnight parking of commercial vehicles, right? I thought so. Especially I see them parking over by Toys R Us, or Babies R Us, I'm sorry, and behind the mall, all over the parking lot behind the mall, over at the one across the street from the mall, whose ever outlot that is back there, I can't remember. You know, if we don't keep control of that, we're gonna end up with a mess. And come on, we've got a beautiful little town, let's not screw it up. So maybe if we could pay attention to those things and see if we can get them taken care of.
With regard to the school buses, via consensus, would it be appropriate to direct the village manager to have a conversation with the school districts?
It probably would, but I don't know that the ones that were there the other day were through the school district. I believe they were probably bringing in people for the pool, or they could have been coming in for summer camp, camp routes or something. It's just easier if somebody spots them, I think, to call maybe PD or the village manager, somebody, Hall, I should say, and tell them what company it is. So that, just give them a little friendly reminder, hey, you really shouldn't be there. But I do know during the school year, buses are parking behind
Oh, yeah.
Hawthorne
Oh, they're all
School, all over.
They're all over the place.
They're all over the
They're at
place.
every park. every
I even
shopping
mentioned to
center.
the manager, the previous manager at the mall one day, I said, I'm surprised you let these buses park here. And he goes, oh, no, that's bread and butter. And I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, they're bringing people in to go shopping. I go, no, they're not. There's not one person going to be on that bus. So they think they're bringing people to go shopping at the mall, but it's not. And especially since I know they all have homes where they can take the buses to, as opposed to just parking them in town. They're trying to fulfill contracts that said you must be able to get to a given school within so many minutes, and they're located way up north. They don't need to be here. I can't even read my own notes. I think I covered them all, yes.
Okay. Any other new business to come before the board?
No,
If not,
that was notes on Aaron anyway.
is there a motion to adjourn? And we will go into closed session to discuss.
Personnel, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of an employee pursuant to Section 2-C-1 of the Open Meetings Act, and purchase of land pursuant to Section 2C-5 of the Open Meetings Act.
Okay. So is there a motion to adjourn? And
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Green?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda? Aye. Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. First item is approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes on May 17th, 2016. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Green?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda? Aye. Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 2, request from CDW to operate an outdoor special event at 200 North Milwauke Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the same event that CDW has conducted. This is their third year they'll be doing it. It's staged from their parking lot. It goes through the Vernon Hills High School, down Cougar Way, up Fairway, then on Lakeside, and then it ends back at CDW's parking lot. It would benefit the Lurie's Children's Fund, and they anticipate having about 125 people there. If the board feels that the request for the special event is appropriate, then staff should be directed to prepare a resolution approving the event. And again, someone from CDW is here to answer any questions that you might have.
Chief, you guys involved with this one?
Actually, we're not. I know Mike Atkinson has run this past me each of the last several years, but it doesn't have anything to do with the streets, traffic, or anything like that. We've never had a problem in the past.
Okay. Was there a motion to
Motion
approve?
Just a question.
Go ahead.
Question is, how come you don't offer it to the public? And the only reason I state this is for charitable, you're going to receive additional dollars if it was offered to the public, and I'm sure there are people out there that would gladly run for this.
I can't tell you that it's in fact not offered to the public. I honestly don't have an answer to your question. Apologies. But I don't know that it's not offered to the public.
It does state that it is not for the public.
Okay.
Employees only and family.
I can talk to the organizer of the event and ask her that, but I'm not in a position to give you a good answer on that. My apologies.
Curious, have them get back to you.
If you would get back to our staff, just for a question, it's for charity and you're doing this and you might as well collect every dollar you possibly can, and there are people out there that would be loving to run in it, so.
Thank you. I'll take that feedback back and we'll make sure to get back to Commissioner Atkinson on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there's Trustee Schultz.
Yeah, I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself. Right now, you're 0 for 1. I'll give you a chance to get to 500. This is a completely off-topic question, but it deals with your company. With regard to, in the past, you had a farmer's market for several years running. You haven't had it the last 2 years. I don't expect you're looking to have one this year. And you did open it to the public about 3 years ago, so I assume the last year. What was your success level? What was the feedback you got on that? And you don't have a clue, right? Because you're really giving me the bois-doom.
If you would like to talk to me about configuring some servers and a storage
Yeah,
area network.
How did you draw the short straw to be here? Because you're 0 for 2. You're not the corporate relations guy,
No, sir. I'm the guy who said yes.
Everybody else stepped
Next year,
backwards.
don't say yes. Send somebody who knows something. We'd appreciate that.
It's specifically about the race
Community
or
outreach.
farmers markets
Yes,
or?
community outreach. Send the community outreach guy.
Okay.
So we can get some questions answered. I mean, I know it was an unfair question. Mine was an unfair question because it was off topic, but I was expecting you'd be the community outreach guy, not the guy that drew the short straw and said we need somebody to sit here. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's a motion, a second. Roll call, please.
Was there?
Who's the second?
Yes.
I second it.
Okay. Trustee Green?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Are you running it?
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn committee to hold, go into closed session to discuss, I guess it's just personnel, and land acquisition or something?
Everything.
So made.
Second.
Motion, not litigation though.
No.
No.
See? No okay, so is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Again, yes.
And Cindy Seconded.
Okay, roll call.
Trustee Williams? Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Green?
Motion carries. Thank you and good night.